so it's just harder for me to digest information auditorially. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Read, Share, Repeat, where we discuss books from the perspective of an aspiring fantasy author. Me, Carrie Share. Well, today I am very excited to be talking about my February TBR. If you watched my January Cozy Reset where I talked about my January TBR, you know I am doing my TBR lists a little different this year. Last year I started out with very specific structured TBRs, which tapered off pretty quickly until I ended up mood reading for the rest of the year. This time around, I do have a little bit of a structure, but it's a lot more loosey-goosey. Basically, my TBRs every month will encompass books I didn't finish the previous month, the library books I have out or will come available off my hold list in the new month, at least 2 off my 2025 Priority TBR, and then 1 random draw out of my Mimic. Last month I had, I think, 13 books on my TBR, and I didn't expect to read all of them. A lot of them were library books, and I ended up finishing 8. So if you recall from my 2025 goals video, 8 was my target, so I'm doing pretty good. And I think I can keep up that momentum going into February. Starting with the books that I either did not finish or did not get to last month that were on last month's TBR. I've got 2 books in this category. The first is Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tooley. This is kind of classic romantasy fare about a woman who is thrust into a competition of sorts to win the heart of a fae king. And I have been listening to it on and off since like October. I have mentioned it several times. I'll mention it here again. I do not listen to audio very often or very well. I have audio processing issues, and so it's just harder for me to digest information auditorially. Audiobooks just aren't my friend, and I am listening to this on audio. I do have a road trip coming up in the middle of the month, and I'm going to try to get this book finished on that road trip. Here's hoping I actually cross it off the list this time. The next book in this category is The Tiger and the Wolf by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I don't know too much about this one. It just came off my library holds list. It seems to be about a young woman whose father and mother came from different clans, and now those clans are at war, and so she is kind of caught in the middle of it. Adrian Tchaikovsky is a new author for me, so I'm really excited to kind of see what his writing is like and what his stories are all about. So that's it for books I didn't get to last month. For my library reads, I've got another big slate. First up, and what I'm going to be tackling first, is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. This is also one of my 2025 priority books. This is, of course, almost considered a classic at this point. It is about a prince who is banished because he comes down with this magical sickness that kind of has been plaguing this empire. Yes. I believe this is also one of Brandon Sanderson's earliest books, maybe his debut. I'm not really sure where it falls, but very early in his career. And I have decided that if I'm going to read Brandon Sanderson, I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm not going to jump in at any of the more common start points like Mistborn or anything. I'm just going to go back to the beginning and start fresh. So that is actually one of the first books I will be reading in February because I don't have terribly long on my library loan. Then I will be reading We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. I know this is a YA and I've heard really great things about it. However, I did read A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faizal last year and hated it. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I have heard that a lot of people did like We Hunt the Flame, but not really love A Tempest of Tea. So maybe I will be in that category as well, and this will be something that I actually end up liking. So those are the library books I currently have out, along with The Tiger and the Wolf. So those are 3 library books I currently have out, and then I've got several that are still on hold that are supposed to come due in February. I don't know if I'll get to them, but I'll list them here. The first one is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. I don't know too much about this one other than that it is YA or maybe new adult, and it is based on Korean folklore. I'm also really suspicious of my hold because I have been the first in line with less than 2 weeks expected for almost an entire month. So I don't know what's going on with that. I hope I get it this month. Then we have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I have actually tried to read this book a couple of times. I've checked it out from the library a couple of times and haven't really managed to get past the first chapter or two. And I don't think it's anything to do with the book. I just think it's more to do with my mood not being right for this book in the moment. But I'm determined that this is going to be the time. I've had really great success with my library holds and reads. I have much better expectations. I'm not checking out 10 books while also having 10 books on hold like I was and having to let some of them go. I think this will be the right time to read this book. Then I have Garden of the Moon by Stephen Erickson. This is, of course, the first book in the Malazan series, which is another epic fantasy series that is very well established and very well loved. I know that there are several series by a couple of different authors and lots of books. So again, this is another project that I am hoping to undertake this year, and we'll see what this series is all about. And then lastly, Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. I have actually tried to read this book a couple of times. I think I made it to even the 20 or 30% mark before, and I wasn't really feeling it, but I do know it's quite short, and I've heard some good things about it. I know there's a non-binary character and dragons. I tried a lot last year to find a dragon book that I like and struck out a couple of times. I don't know that this will be the one just based on my feelings from the first time I tried to read it, but I do want to get all the way through it just so I can kind of know what it's all about. And that is everything for my library list. Now onto my 2 books off my 2025 Priority TBR. The first from that list is What the Library Hides by Isabella Bañez. This is, of course, the second in the Secrets of the Nile duology. I read What the River Knows, I think in September or October of last year, and much to my surprise, really liked it. I am actually currently rereading What the River Knows so I can annotate it with the intention of finishing the duology this month. I am trying to be better about not waiting a tremendous amount of time in between each series entry because I want to finish more series. I'm constantly starting new series and not finishing them, and I want to kind of curtail that instinct a little bit, and this is a great way to do it because it is a duology. So I'm rereading What the River Knows now, and then my plan is to get to this one while I'm on vacation this month. And then the next book off my 2025 Priority TBR list is The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. Yes, I have read this before. Yes, I have been saying that I have wanted to find it a physical copy so I could reread it and continue with the series. And then I just caved and bought it online instead of waiting to find it in a bookstore because I realized that was silly. And I'm really excited about it. I really liked this book. It kind of took me by surprise. There is a reveal in the opening chapter that completely gobsmacked me as much as a reveal in the first chapter can. But I feel like if you know, it's about the main character. Really, really liked it. The world is just so unique and different. And the conflict, I think, is really compelling. So again, this will be a reread, but it's part of my annotation project. So I am looking forward to getting back into this world. And that's everything except my random draw from my TBR Mimic, my favorite part of picking my TBR for the month. So for those of you who aren't familiar, this is my TBR Mimic. In this book are slips of paper, and on those slips of paper are numbers, and each number corresponds to a book in my owned library. That encompasses my physical books, my ebooks, and my audiobooks. Right at the end of the year last year, I completely redid the Mimic and redid my digital catalog. So all of the old slips are gone, all of the books that I read that hadn't been drawn, gone. This is as close to a completely fresh list as I'm gonna get, and I love the randomness of it because it sort of forces me to read a book I might not have otherwise chosen. So without further ado, we're going to give them a little shake. And I'm not going to play around this time. I think I'm just going to take one right here off the top. Oh, I got 2. There we go. Okay, so we have 168. Let's see what that corresponds to. Okay, so 168 corresponds to Sailing to Sarantium by Guy Gavriel Kay. And this is one of those ebooks that I bought years and years ago, just sight unseen, when I saw a BookBub deal for 99 cents or free or whatever. So I don't know anything about it. Guy Gavriel Kay is another author who has a huge backlist, and I've just been sort of curious about some of the books that he has written. I know he is very prolific and has been writing for a long time. He has books that came out in the 90s and books that came out just a few years ago. So this might be a good introduction to his writing, and this is a great way to find out. So that is 11 books. Now, again, my goal is 8 books for the month, so I don't know that I anticipate reading all of these. I didn't get to all of the ones on last month's list either, but this is the list that I will be choosing from, prioritizing my owned TBR and my 2025 priority reads. And that's everything for today. I can't wait. This is a great, really diverse list. I've got some brand new authors. I've got some series continuations, a reread. I think I am set up for a really great reading month of February, especially with my vacation coming up. I'm hoping to get a lot of reading done. And that is all from me. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe or consider leaving a comment below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave me a heart emoji in the color of your choice for February. In my next video, I will have my February cozy reset for you. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.